Well, I mean, I'm really curious about tomorrow for the Minecraft Bitcoin call to see who shows up and kind of what the response will be.
Yeah, I just clicked on the GitHub link now.
Mhm.
Did you set that call up, Christoph?
Yeah, I was so I saw it on Twitter when they announced it, and my son loves Minecraft, so I told him like, hey, let's get on there, let's check it out together, because I wanted to just see how it works and all this stuff. And then we just had a good
Yeah.
time in there. And there's so many mechanics in there that I didn't even know about, so much custom stuff that they built. And
Mm-hmm.
then, because it's something Bitcoin related, I posted it in Slack and then also in the latest newsletter. And then they listened in to the latest community call. And then they reached out
Mm-hmm.
via DM afterwards and said, hey, it's cool. Can we do a collab? And I thought, I think most people don't even know what Minecraft is and how this even works in the design community. So how about we just do an intro call?
I read here, okay, so each player has a Lightning wallet in the game where they're going to send and receive sats.
Mhm.
Players can run ASICs. I'm not sure what that word
Yeah.
means, to earn Bitcoin, play mini games, trade, and purchase items.
Yeah. So an ASIC is basically a Bitcoin miner. ASIC stands for what is it? Application specific integrated circuit. Well, if you can think about the CPU or your computer, it can do a billion different things, right? It can do all kinds of
Mhm.
math. It can render 3D stuff. It can do all kinds of things. That is different than an ASIC. An ASIC is like a circuit or like a main board or a CPU or so that's just really good at
Mhm.
doing just one thing. In the case of Bitcoin, an ASIC is just about continuously calculating hashes as quickly as it possibly can. And it's way, way faster than a regular computer at this one specific task, and it can't do anything else. So an ASIC in the context of Bitcoin is it's essentially just a miner. And in the case of Atlantis, you have these blocks in the game that are ASICs,
Mhm.
and there are all kinds of blocks with different functionality. There are blocks that serve as like a crafting table where you can make tools. I think there's a block that's you can use for cooking, baking cakes, and other things. And this block is specifically for you put in these emeralds, which are basically like electricity in the real world, and then your ASIC
Yeah.
runs, your miner runs, and then it actually you earn a little bit of Bitcoin uh, as time passes and as your ASIC in the game runs.
This is such a playful way of introducing someone to using a Lightning wallet. It's so non-traditional because, traditionally you would download a wallet and then you would just try it out. But how are you in the game actually like holding a wallet or are you more managing a wallet?
Well, so Minecraft is interesting in a way that it has its own command line. It has its own terminal. So the in-game wallet that you're using, it's like when you press T, you get this little input field, and you can chat with other players. You can form
Right.
clans with other players, but you can also type in commands. And one of the commands is, for example, pay. Then you can type in pay and the name of another player and then an amount, and it will send that amount of sats to this other player. Or I think you can use deposit and withdraw. So you can say
Hmm.
deposit 5,000 or so, and then it will create a LNURL link for you that you click, and then it
Hmm.
takes you to a web browser, and you see a QR
Hmm.
code like a regular point of sale type of invoice display, and then you pay
Hmm.
that with your Lightning wallet, and then just like a few seconds later, you have those sats inside the game, inside your account. So it is definitely custodial. The Satlantis server team, they hold that, they
Hmm.
manage that account, but it's such a small amount anyways for this in-game play that it's kind of a pretty cool experience to actually go through that and and try it out and play with it and and it actually working in the end.
Yeah, I think I played Minecraft like I don't know 5 years ago or something. So I'm quite keen to give it a shot. Yeah.
Oh, you have an account? Did you play it with your kids or?
I played a long time
Yeah.
ago. I probably don't even have that account anymore. No, I just played with a friend, I think. I just a couple of hours nonstop and then yeah. I'm more of a board gamer,
Yeah.
so I hop back into the board games. Um, but yeah, also used to play on the PlayStation as well, but stopped that too. Now I'm just with board games.
Oh, nice. Stephen, do you have a
But
Minecraft account? Have you played?
No, I don't have a Minecraft account, but I've played it. Yeah, my friend's daughter is crazy about Minecraft, and so I frequently get roped into playing it.
Yeah.
But I don't have my own account.
Yeah, but you're familiar with the different game modes and mechanics and all of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool.
does it only work like in the command line, or can you also do the actions outside of the command line?
You mean the Bitcoin specific actions?
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's just in the command line. But so there is a way to build custom interfaces in Minecraft, but it's kind of abusing
Mm-hmm.
other interface elements. It's not
Mm-hmm.
super elegant, but it works. But as far as I know, it's only in the command line.
But I don't think the command line may not be a huge deal because I think isn't it a little bit like on Slack when you like use Giphy, you like kind of do like the slash command and like it kind of like auto populates
Yeah.
like the list of commands you can do.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Hey, for those of you jumping on the call, we would just I see we have Olu here, your product designer. Welcome. And we also have Shah here as well. Welcome to the call. We were just chatting about Satlantis, which is a community call that we're going to be having tomorrow.
Yeah, so feel free to join that one. But how about we just start going over the newsletter now we're
Yeah,
at
I
it.
think that's a good one.
So the next one is that's a call with Keeper. And Mo, Stephen, have you tried out Keeper? It's by the
Nope.
wallet by the Hexa team.
Nope, never heard of it.
No, neither have I.
Okay. So then that's going to be a really good call then tomorrow. So it's at bitcoinkeeper.app. And so it's about multi-sig, and it's also about something unique that they offer is inheritance. So
Mm-hmm.
some type of solution that if something happens to you or someone that you know, that those Bitcoin then still they're not lost, that they don't go away with in an unfortunate accident or a situation. So I'm very curious to look at that experience and hear from the team about their design decisions. Should be an interesting one.
That's a very interesting setup of the wallet that they have there. So it's basically it feels like it touches on inheritance, of course, because it has inheritance features. Is this the only wallet? I've never come across a wallet that has inheritance features. Or well, multi-sig for sure, but inheritance features, that's quite specific.
Yeah, I feel like the inheritance thing, I feel like only in the last half year or so have I heard of several wallets and designers speaking about Bitcoin inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
It's before that, year ago, 2 years ago, I don't think I ever really heard of it, but now there are several ones. What was it? Was it Sahil who also talked
From
about it?
Unchained?
From Unchained? I think they also talked about inheritance features. And I think, of course, the Casa team,
Yeah.
they've had it for a long time.
Yeah, they've certainly had some inheritance features. It's also important to note that like with Casa and Unchained, part of the service that they provide is like more on the social layer, helping you set up your inheritance plan, I think, and like a legal way, and making sure that you have your keys divided and all of that. But I don't see a lot of people like just attacking it from a purely software perspective. There is an interesting project called Liana. Some of the same people who worked on Revault, I think, work on it, and it's this wallet that's supposed to like let you create these much more sophisticated spend conditions like time locks and all that. So it's kind of another example of inheritance planning where they're trying to set it up so like, oh well, if you want to wait till the kid's 18, it's like you can say, well, the wallet needs 2 keys in order to spend, but then, after 18 years worth of blocks, then, just this one key works, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. That's at, I think the company or the organization is called Wizard Sardine, and the wallet is called Liana.
Correct.
Yeah. Also really interesting. That'd be a good one to do. I feel like we should, in the design guide, we should somehow tackle that topic, especially also because the winning team of the design-a-thon last year also tackled inheritance.
Definitely agree with you on that one. It's definitely coming up time and time again.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Cool. Let's see, what's the next one? So, okay, the next one's about me. I'll speak very briefly about this one. I had a lot of fun, jumped on a train, I was in Brussels in 3 hours. It was super quick. Didn't see much of the city. I pretty much went straight to the university location, and I hung out for a bit, and then I pretty much found the dev room and gave my talk, and it was a really good conference. It was very well organized, and communication was very good. I spoke about the UX research toolkit. I told a bit of a story, did a little bit of storytelling, what went wrong, what worked well. Really enjoyed myself. So yeah, looking forward to continuing to build it and build in public. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Have you had follow-up conversations after that one with a few people?
Yeah, there's been there was a really interesting lady I met there. She actually she does research on open source communities. Like that's her entire full-time job. So she collects information about how these open source communities, collaborate. And so I reached out to her on Slack. She gave me her Slack, but I haven't heard back from her. She's a really interesting one. I'm interested in the research that she's done and what actually creates continuity in communities. That's her thing, specifically open source communities. So I reached out to her. There were 2 people that I got business cards from. One was one of the organizers, and another one was a UX researcher. I still need to reach out to them. I've just been with my head down doing my work, so I've not really reached out, but yeah, I should.
Yeah, that I would love to hear more about that topic. That sounds super interesting as well. The idea of
it's an
yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Just the idea of continuity in these projects. What makes it? Yeah, of course, as community manager, I guess that's something that you're interested in.
Yeah, I mean, she's dedicated her entire career to that, so I think she's pretty much got her finger on point in terms of what's going on. So yeah, I'll reach out to her again. She was on Slack.
Do you remember her name? Or you can just tell me separately.
Her name,
I don't know.
Yeah, no, but I mean, she's the community manager, so it's nothing.
Okay.
She's community manager at the Turing Way. It's called the Turing Way. Her name is Anne Lee Steele. She was at the conference.
Awesome. Taking notes here.
But,
so interesting.
Yeah, Anne Lee Steele, community manager.
Yeah, another reason why I find it interesting, I saw another Bitcoin Core maintainer is changing direction, I guess. And then another person, I think John Attack, he tweeted about something, how to reduce maintainer burnout and increase a project's bus factor and decentralization. Something he's trying to think about, which is kind of in a similar vein. Like, how do you ensure in an open source community that people are having a good time, everyone gets to do what they want to do pretty much, that there's continuous progress, people don't get burned out, and that also there's not too much centralization of activity on any single person or a small group, that these communities are kind of resilient in a way.
Yeah, it's definitely, I'm just on their website at the moment. It says open communication about accessibility. Okay, that's accessibility. They have these fireside chats. They have community calls. The community calls are very topic based. So they've got some co-working calls. They've got a collaboration cafe. They've got office hours. They've even got a translation
collaboration cafe.
I know. They've got a book dash. They've got fireside chat. So they have a whole lot of the Turing Way is an open source community driven book on reproducible, ethical, and collaborative data science. We involve and support a diverse community in participating, skill building, exchanging ideas, developing resources, and making data science inclusive as they collaborate with each other. So yeah, they have it's pretty much a whole page. Yeah, it's interesting to look at. I'll shoot over the link to you on Slack, Christoph.
Awesome. Thanks. All right.
Cool.
Let's look back
What's
at
next?
the newsletter. Contributors to Bitcoin Design are eligible for free tickets to Bitcoin Miami if they have contributed previously. And I think
About damn time.
you going?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. It's fairly close to you, right? A few hours away.
Yeah, well, it's about 13 hours for me, but it ain't a bad trip.
Really? That far?
Well, this is like the south end of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like in North Georgia, and this conference is in South Florida, so it actually ends up being pretty far.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. All right, so that's cool. Next one is Mo. Why don't you tackle the next one, or Stephen, if you'd like?
Stephen, you shoot for it. This is ordinals, the topic I'm still learning about.
Oh, well, I mean, ordinals, they're a thing, right? And now we have an ordinals channel in the community, which I have not really been participating in, but I can riff off of that. We've seen a lot. I think we last talked about this on the community call about 3 weeks ago, and I just feel like, so much has changed since then. It's like my friends are starting to make them now. I fiddled around with the org client a little bit myself, but I haven't actually made one. It's cool to see all the creativity and all of that that's coming out with ordinals. I mean, I think if it's attracting people to Bitcoin and getting them to run nodes, that's certainly a positive. In my opinion, I'm having a little bit of hesitancy because I'm starting to see a lot of the same kind of stuff that I see in the broader NFT world, just in terms of like people launching collections and all this kind of stuff and getting on the internet and showing their collections. But hey, it's one of those things where, like, if you want to make an ordinal, you have to spend Bitcoin and transaction fees to do it. So it's kind of like, if that's valuable to people and they want to spend their Bitcoin on that, then it's not my place to say they shouldn't do it. And I mean, it's kind of interesting because like this website is sprung up called, I think, Ordinal Hub or whatever, and it it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like becoming like OpenSea, but it's like for Bitcoin NFTs now. So I don't know, but it's certainly going to be an interesting, there's a design space to explore there in terms of how you make like an ordinal wallet and all of that. And, like if you want to make an ordinal wallet, like if you want to send and receive, like trade ordinals with your friends, I guess you have to have like an ordinal balance and a cash balance and all of that. And so it'd be an interesting design space to explore to see if somebody wants to make like a real like top-notch ordinal wallet.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I'm just looking through this Ordinal Hub too. I didn't realize that exists, and there's stuff like, I guess Bitcoin Shrooms is the top collection right now.
Well, of course, Bitcoin's digital mycelium, right?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, if I look at ordinals.com and the stuff that's being created and look at this Ordinal Hub, it's like, come on, set the best artistic expression. I guess it's fine because it's very early on in this. But I don't know, I feel like almost the visual aspect of this is the least developed and almost the least interesting. It's almost more like the technical aspect is kind of fascinating. And what I generally found interesting is that it seems like this is very broadly accepted. I was listening to a podcast with NVK, and he described his reaction to this. And at first he was like, I'm so angry, this sucks. This is an attack, right? And then he described how he thought through the different aspects of this and kind of got around to it. So in a way, this is almost like this is a solution to this digital artifact, whatever I think that feels like it sounds like this is done in an acceptable way, and sometimes finding that exactly is incredibly difficult and something like when it just clicks, and it seems like this particular approach clicks with people, which makes me think that it's going to be around to stay, and there will be more interesting stuff happening. My hope is really just that we don't see like more lowbrow pixel art or rocks, but some real interesting, not just technical exploration, but also expressions, I guess. Art.
One interesting, I think the most interesting ordinal that I've seen so far, and I'd have to get my friend to send it to me again because I don't remember how to find it, but it was like, it wasn't an image, it was like a piece of JavaScript that was embedded in, that was inscribed, and it basically like a little mini web page. And so like if you'd like load the web page to see it, it would like basically try and boot up the camera on your computer and basically show you whatever's coming through your video, but it had this like crazy distortion effect, so it wasn't like showing you a straight video from your camera. It was like using like blocks and lines and stuff to like reconstruct an approximation of the image. So that was kind of like, does that need to be a immutable inscription on the blockchain? No, but it's an interesting piece of digital art because you're doing something artistically that you can't do like without a screen. So I thought that was at least an interesting digital artwork.
Yeah, I think this is an example of where people are trying to stretch and feel out the boundaries of what's possible here. And then the interesting stuff will come when people do that, and then combine some of these things that they find in unique ways and tell stories with them.
I think the storytelling aspect that you're now touching on as well is I listened to the podcast, which is also in the newsletter as well. It's all the way down at the bottom, but I listened to Connor's podcast on Bitcoin builders. And, he spoke a lot about using storytelling as a way to create more, I don't remember the word that he used, to make, working in Bitcoin more accessible, but also bringing people into Bitcoin as well. He spoke a lot about storytelling, and I actually really enjoyed his podcast because he tells stories. So he was just telling a story, very relaxed, about how he entered into the Bitcoin space, how he started working as a product manager. It's definitely a very relaxed way of bringing people into a topic that's otherwise quite, might not feel very accessible for people of different, technical levels of knowledge. So I really enjoyed that podcast. Actually, that's one of the topics here in the newsletter. But yeah, we can jump to the next topic, which is learn how to use the Bitcoin UI kit. This was Daniel's one, but he's not here. Who'd like to chat about that one?
Yeah, I think some context here would be good. So we have the Bitcoin development kit, we have the Lightning development kit, which are kind of these very modular code libraries for building Bitcoin and Lightning wallets. And then we have the Bitcoin UI kit, all these types of kits, which is kind of a Figma file with all kinds of components, design system, textiles, colors, icons, screen samples, which give you kind of the design side of things. And as Daniel was kind of looking at all of this, he realized that there's something missing in the middle that still makes developing a wallet kind of difficult. There's some boilerplate missing, and so he's working on BDG wallet, which is Bitcoin Design Guide wallet. I think that's what it stands for, and that is kind of this intermediate layer. So let's say in the end, the way you want it to work is that you just kind of open Xcode, you pull in LDK, BDK, and then BDG wallet, And then you can basically start building your interface, and it's going to work out of the box. You kind of pull in these libraries and this boilerplate, you press run or compile and run, and then you essentially have a functioning wallet. And then you can only have to focus on what makes it unique. And so he's creating these tutorials that are really well written. I think they're really well structured, lots of screenshots, very clear steps for each one. Working towards someone just going through these steps and then ending up with a nice mobile wallet. And that should ideally then also allow many more people around the world to start building their own wallets in whatever way is appropriate for them, wherever they live, whatever their use case may be.
100%. He did such an amazing job. I've got his Notion page open up here in front of me, and everything's so easily laid out, and it's just step by step, ABC 1, 2, 3. I mean, I'm not a developer, but I think I might be able to follow this and actually create something, because he's made things really easy to understand. So yeah, good job, Daniel.
Yeah, I made sure to tell him that on Slack too. Okay, so next one is saving Satoshi, and I can speak to that because we're kind of in the. I mean, I'm obviously do a lot of the design work there. So we're in an interesting spot right now where we have a pretty good team. We haven't done a lot of work. We've gotten some initial feedback, and we're trying to kind of work towards what we call a demo. So when you develop a project, you have these big ideas, but at some point, there are huge ideas here. To really build out all of the content for this is going to take a year, and we know that. It's like a sci-fi story that also teaches developers how to code with Bitcoin. And there are 10 or 11 chapters of content, and we know it's going to take a long time to get through that because it goes pretty deep into all kinds of aspects, from hashing and mining to elliptic curve cryptography and whatnot. And so right now we're defining two points. One is kind of a demo point where we can get first user feedback from a smaller circle, and then is a kind of a version 1, which is the next one after that. And we're trying to put now this demo, define like exactly what needs to be done for that one, and then set a milestone and try to wrap things up towards that one. So it's pretty cool, and there are lots of different strands. There's kind of a lesson content strand. There's a development strand. There's the image generation. We're using AI tools to kind of create this sci-fi concept art. What other ones? What did I miss? There are like 4 or 5 different strands. Story writing, exactly. We have the sci-fi story that needs to be written. So the team is like discussing who the nemesis is, what their personality is like, what their character arc is. Will they have a redemption at the end of the story and all of that. So it's really interesting. And I do hope soon in a few weeks, we'll have this demo version ready to go.
And Christoph, I've really been enjoying watching you guys build Saving Satoshi in public, because everything's been so open. Everything's in Notion. You can see all the calls. You can see all of the step-by-step processes that you guys have done. But I'm also very interested in, because this is this very unique design challenge. I mean, essentially, you're building an educational game interface. What have you found to be the first question is the biggest challenge with building something like this? And the second question would be what was one of the things that you've learned as a result of building this?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is, I've never worked with, let's say, a web app that also that is attached to a storyline. It's pretty difficult because it's so complex. A lot of times, you have a Bitcoin wallet, you send, receive, you have your onboarding, it's very functional. But here we also have a whole story, and with matching visuals. We also try to be, because we started on, we said like, hey, these AI image tools are the big hype now. Let's just start using them. So there was a huge learning curve there. So in the end, in order to create a very rich, seamless, interactive experience, it all has to come together. And that is a huge challenge. especially in kind of an open source way, where sometimes people show up and contribute, and another person shows up and they do this, and then someone else shows up. So I don't know. I hope we can make it all come together in the right way in the end. But I mean, TBD a little bit. It's a really, really good design challenge, this whole thing.
So it feels a bit like it's the designing for the storyline that is a unique experience for you, I think. And then also pulling everything together, because there's quite a lot of people involved in this project.
Yeah, I think that's a big challenge. In a lot of other projects, UX projects, they're like buckets of work that can be done separately. But in this one, it all really has to come together. Everything affects everything else.
Yeah, that is unique. That is definitely unique. Yeah, for sure. Well, good luck with it, and I'm enjoying watching you guys build in public. So keep it up.
Do you wanna also start with the next one in the newsletter, the Wallet
Yeah,
Scrutiny project?
no worries. I will start with that one. The wallet scrutiny. Yeah, that one is it's been a while in the running now. I mean, I speak I smile when I think about this project, because when I think of where we started, we started not really necessarily with a blank canvas, but we started, I think our design challenge was creating something for redesigning this website for people so that it feels, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? It feels as if they can not only trust the reviews on the wallet website, but also that they actually understand the reviews. And this has been, I don't know, what is it? It's been about a month. Has it been about 2 months now, or a month in the running? I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think October or November is when it started. So it's been 2-3 months.
So for those of you who don't know Wallet Scrutiny, I'll give a little bit of background. It's basically a review website where you can check if your Bitcoin wallet is secure. And they basically do a series of steps. They do a process. I think it's a 9 or an 8-step process that they perform on each wallet to check how secure the wallet is. And basically, the word that they use for this is reproducible. If the wallet is reproducible, then it is secure. So, I've been working on Christoph with this project on redesigning the interface. He's been doing the designs, and I've been doing the user research. But I don't know if there's anything you'd like to touch on about that, Christoph.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it's security research, and some of it is pretty hard and pretty dry and very technical, and you really have to understand how things work under the hood and in the background. So beyond, like a lot of times you go to an app store and you click download, you have an app on your phone. That's it. But all of the stuff that happens before that, from the hands of the developer and everything in between until it makes it to you, there's so much stuff that happens there, and there are lots of security risks, and that's just not something we typically think about. I mean, how let's say the smartphone that you have, that you're using, maybe that you might be using right now, how familiar you are with all the steps that are required from the initial resource gathering until this thing makes it to you, and all the different kind of security considerations that could happen at each step. So it's very complex to try to communicate this in a simple way, in the right way, and inform users so they can make good decisions. Right? It's way beyond like, oh, 5-star rating, this wallet is awesome, and that's what makes it a good challenge. It's a big information design challenge.
Cool. Now we move on to the Bitcoin design guide. I'm more than happy to talk about this one. So there's the user personas. This one has been this is a new page that's now live in the Bitcoin design guide. A little bit of background about that one. Back around 1.5 years ago, Pav suggested in GitHub to put the personas of the research that Patricia Estavo conducted into the Bitcoin design guide. And this was around 1.5 years ago. There's 5 Bitcoin personas that she interviewed with specific user journeys. and it's their specific entry points into how they discovered Bitcoin, how they use Bitcoin, their pain points, what they struggled with. And it's now a live page in the Bitcoin Design Guide. This was a total team effort. I say it takes a village, but Christoph helped a lot with the designs here, and it's really nice to see it in the guide because it's been something that's been requested when we interviewed people for the Bitcoin design community and we asked them what they wanted to see more of in the guide. They wanted to see more personas. So I'm really happy that this is now live. Definitely took a village to get this one live.
Yeah, same here, but it should be really useful.
Stephen, do you want to speak about the fiat one or Christoph?
I think it's Stephen's turn. We spoke so much.
I agree.
Sure. Well, it looks like a definition of fiat was added to the glossary. Cool. That's news to me. Glad to see that issue got taken care of. Yeah, somebody realized that we didn't have I never defined it anywhere in the glossary, so went ahead and added that. Somebody did. Who did?
Was that did that come out of your work on creating a page in the design guide about how fiat over Lightning works?
Yeah, and then someone was like, well, we don't ever define fiat in the guide, so I opened a separate issue for that, and then I think Liquid was their username, Liquid something, they closed that, so whoever it was, thank you for submitting that PR to fix that.
Like that email, that's easy, because that's just on our backend system.
Yeah. Yeah, that's also going to be a good page, the fiat over Lightning one.
Speaking of another page is the PayJoins case study. I can speak very briefly about that one. So PayJoins, a little bit of background. I've had to understand what PayJoins is myself because I've been helping out with putting out this case study together. But PayJoins is basically a transaction between a sender and a receiver. Basically, together they construct a transaction together, but it's a very unique transaction because they want privacy benefits. So you can imagine if John is trying to pay a merchant for something, but he shares a wallet with his girlfriend, for example. He shares a Bitcoin wallet with his girlfriend and he wants to buy her a gift. So he wants to purchase something from the merchant, but he doesn't want his girlfriend to know specifically what he purchased because it's a gift. So it's basically, in simple words, a Bitcoin transaction between a sender and a receiver where there's some privacy benefits in the most simplest terms. Did I explain that correctly, or is there anything else to add to that?
I mean, we could go into the gory details, but probably best to not.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I'm actually looking at the case study document right now in front of me. I've been working together with Yashraj. He's put a lot of work into this case study. He explored the sender flow and the receiver flow for this one. It works very different to the traditional Bitcoin transactions because basically one of the constraints, at least from what I understand, is that you only really fully know the transaction fees. Almost you get an estimate of the transaction fees in the beginning, but you actually only fully know it once the transaction's fully gone through. So this is one of the constraints of this type of transaction. So we're trying to, put this together as a case study into the Bitcoin Design Guide. I have to be honest, it's a pretty technical topic. So one of the main challenges that I'm having with this particular case study is trying to make it really easy to understand for the people who read it so that they can actually use it with their work.
Well, let me know if you need a review on that or anything. I think another kind of constraint with PayJoins is that Dan Gould this is an idea he's been working on for a long time, trying to implement it in his Chaincase app, and at least when we kind of started the exploration, and Yashraj volunteered to try and provide some UX help for PayJoins. One of the limitations of it is that if you want to be able to receive via a PayJoin, you kind of need to run a server, which is a little bit limiting because it makes it so that, it's kind of like you kind of got to be a merchant, like running your own BTC Pay server, or, running your own node or something like that. Some kind of server that's always online, right? So it's kind of a limitation that makes PageJoins a little harder to implement. But I think it was just like a week or two ago, Dan posted a proposal to the dev mailing list called serverless PageJoins. So he has a method now where he thinks that you might be able to do a PageJoin without needing to have a server. That would be kind of interesting. So that could really help to make PageJoins a little bit more accessible.
I'll definitely take your offer, Stephen, of having a read through the case study document, because it's definitely quite a lot of different things, lot of different topics together, and there's a lot of constraints. So I definitely like you to have a read through that document. Would appreciate it. Cool. Christoph, do you want to speak about the seeking feedback section?
Yeah, sure. So Stijn is, he's been really into digging really deep onto how pins work in different types of wallets and wallets combinations. And, pins are they're very useful. They're also a little bit hated. It kind of forces you to make up a number, and they're kind of hard to remember. So you kind of use the same one over and over again. And sometimes they ask you, like, type in your PIN, and then you type in the wrong one. You have to look it up and whatnot. The interesting thing is they can play all kinds of different roles in different types of wallet configurations. If you have a single sig wallet, or if you have a multi-sig wallet, or assisted multi-sig wallet, or if you have like what's the project in the Photon SDK where your key actually gets backed up with a separate server key, and then the PIN is used to decrypt that one. Like, in the background, the PIN can do all kinds of different things, and that requires it to be treated a little bit differently in the interfaces. But for a user, you don't really think about it that much. You just the app asks you, like, enter your PIN, and sometimes, like, here, enter it again. But so he's been digging really deep on that one, which is great. And we've already added something into the guide, an expansion of the PIN description. And he is now looking to dig further into some of those different scenarios. So really interesting one. And digging really, I think it's kind of similar with the PageJoins, where, Dan and Yashraj, they just take this one thing and they go so hardcore deep on it. And I really appreciate that. I think it's really awesome when you have a couple people and they just go really deep, because that's what in the end can make a really amazing solution in the end. That's just what it takes sometimes. I'll also take the next one here. So Doc has posted an issue, and this is something that's come up before. So I think in design, a lot of times we do our competitive research, and what we do is we try out 5 other wallets. I remember when I started looking at wallets in 2017, I think I still have this folder on my hard drive. There are 20 different wallet names, and in each one's like 10 to 20 to 30 screenshots of different wallets. I tried out everything, took tons of screenshots, and analyze them for different UX patterns. So Doc's proposed putting an app screens page in the design guide, and he created a Figma file for Phoenix, the iOS version of Phoenix. So there's an idea here. This would be really interesting to hear from others if they find it useful. We've also previously, in some of our design reviews calls, we've created Figma files for Blue Wallet and Phoenix and Moon and Green and all kinds of other different wallets. So we have potentially a ton of screens that we could potentially put on that page and make searchable and make useful. So I'm very curious to hear some more feedback on that one.
That topic actually came up as well again when we were, building out the UX research toolkit, because having an app screens almost, I wouldn't call it a repository, but almost like a searchable database that would allow designers to search for the onboarding flow, search and see the screen states of the send flow of different wallets. I can definitely see that as being really helpful. Because right now in the UX Research Toolkit, we're suggesting basically, basically the simple method is just grab the screens, take screenshots, put them next to each other in Figma, and make some observations, simply put. But I think if you have, like let's say the onboarding flow of 3, 4, 5 different wallets in front of you, it's definitely very useful for a designer, I think, and for a researcher to have this information and make observations, understand best practices, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and if you go to bitcoinuikit.com/screens, I built something similar, but for the UI kit, not for screenshots from other applications. So it's a grid of screens, and you can search them by text. It even searches text inside those screenshots, and you also have a list of user flows. You can say, I just want to see, the settings, or just the onboarding, or just what it's like, all the screens involved in sending or receiving, or so, and it filters by that. So I think it's very useful. So maybe this is something we should tackle soon.
Cool. The next one, I'm not so familiar with this one. This is the Satoshi is looking for feedback and help on the design for a lightning faucet. Do you know anything about this, Christoph or Stephen?
Yes. So I don't know a lot of details because Satoshi was not very specific. It just said, I'm need design help building a lightning faucet, and then he or she posted a screenshot, a week later or so, and it looks like you press a button, and then there's like a chance that you can get some sats from it. So it seems like a little bit of a game. And it's a lightning faucet. So a lightning faucet is typically just a way to, and a lot of times it's just a way to get testnet coins that you can use for testing. Not mainnet, but testnet ones. So I don't know a ton of detail, but if someone wants to help out with a bit of a design project, I think he has a good opportunity. So just go to the newsletter, click that link under seeking feedback, and provide feedback or help out or ask some more questions.
Cool. Next one, we move into everything else. There's the SATS X is a lightning hackathon in Austin. Maybe you want to speak about that one, Stephen?
Yeah, sure. I went to that one last year. It was really good. Yeah, it's put on by some of the folks from Pleb Lab, and yeah, it was good. A lot of talent there, a lot of cool projects. So glad to see that they're doing it again. So yeah, if you can make it to Austin, definitely check that one out. I'm unfortunately going to miss it this year because I'm going to Costa Rica instead, which overlaps. It's the Nostr conference in Costa Rica. So that'd be cool, which kind of segues into the next thing. Got Nostr Hack Week coming up from March 8th to March 15th. This is actually an interesting one because it looks like I'm not too steeped in the details of this one, but it appears as though they're like doing fundraising on the Geyser platform to be able to, like, I guess, fund the prizes or whatever else they need to make the hackathon happen. But it's been pretty cool, and it looks like the Nostr design community is involved. So I don't know, it's pretty cool that in such a short period of time, Nostr has already built up their own design community. So I think that'll be I don't know. I'm tempted to participate in that hackathon. It looks cool.
Yeah,
Very
and
jealous.
behind that? It's the master of organizing hackathons. It's John's Bolt Fun Peak Shift.
John's himself.
Who is also behind the Nostr design community.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
But is it? Because he also had, I think the Nostr hackathon he was talking about was with Bolt Fun, and I thought he said he was rescheduling that due to conflicts.
I'm pretty sure this is it.
Oh, this is it? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so if sorry, go ahead, Stephen.
I just said I had no idea, that's all.
They're also looking, there's going to be a design track in this hackathon as well. So if you're in the Bitcoin design community and if you're designer on this call, maybe looking to, design some solutions for Noster, feel free to reach out to Johns on Slack and find out how the whole process works with signing up. Or is there already a sign up page on the website itself? I'm not sure.
Looks like they're having to do a fundraise for it first. I mean, it looks to me like it looks like they have to make sure that the thing is funded before it actually happens. That's at least what this geyser page looks like.
Yeah, I see that as well. Cool. The next one, Christoph, you're speaking here, Advancing Bitcoin. That's just around the corner.
Yes, that's in about 10 days. So Johns will be speaking about design and developer collaboration, and it's going to be a very practical talk, both him and mine. That's kind of one of the things about the Advancing Bitcoin conference. It's meant to be, not just theoretical big picture stuff, but just really practical things that Bitcoin builders can use in their day-to-day and apply. So Johns will speak about how design and development can work really well and tightly together in different scenarios, different type of projects, different type of processes. And mine will be on the Bitcoin UI kit, which I've mentioned before, which is a handy out-of-the-box design system. So, typically when you start a design tool, start a new file, it's completely empty. If you start a new code project, first thing you do is you pull in frameworks and libraries and you configure them. And this is a bit similar. So instead of starting a design project with a clean slate, you pull in the Bitcoin UI kit and you configure it, you adjust it, and you're off basically with a really solid foundation. So I'll do an introduction to that one and a very hands-on workshop trying to go over some Figma basics and how to build something simple with the UI kit. So that should be a cool one. I'm excited. It's always interesting to go as a designer into a primarily development-focused audience, but I do also really enjoy that as well. All good there.
Summer of Bitcoin's now open. That's another opportunity. So Summer of Bitcoin, I'm just going to open up the page here in front of me. It's a global online summer internship. So if you're a university student and you'd like to get some hands-on experience with or design or development, you can pretty much join that. You can submit an application and you can be part of a design or development track. Last year, I believe it was really fun. Christoph was a mentor, I believe Stephen as well. I've also offered to be a mentor this year. So that's going to be a good one coming up.
Yeah, and I think they're also open still for projects who want to host students and for specific projects. And so it's they have, I think by far the bigger track is the development track. And then we have a small design track also with a few design students. So far, maybe the design will at some point be the bigger track. We'll see, but it should be cool.
Yeah, I'm doing I'm be mentoring for Umlando wallet, which is an LDK wallet that Connor and Thunder Biscuit have been working on. So if you're a design student, you can check out the information about that on the Summer of Bitcoin website. I actually have to bail now. It's been real. I'll catch you all later.
Sure, Stephen. Thanks for helping out.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. Thanks for co-hosting. Yeah, it's almost we're at the hour now. So how about we just wrap it up?
Sounds good.
After one more note here, at the bottom of the newsletter that we just went over a lot of things there, we have an in opportunities. So that's from the opportunities channel in our Slack. And so if someone's looking for who wants to do design work on a project or who's looking for a design or so, that's a great place to post. Sometimes there are companies looking for designers for Bitcoin projects. It's all Bitcoin focused. Sometimes they're open source projects, like Fediment is looking for design help. All kinds of really diverse things happening there. So if you want to help out with something, if you're looking for a designer, that's a good place to post to. And other than that, should we wrap it up, Mo?
Yeah, sounds good. Feel free, go ahead, Christoph.
Okay,
I
awesome.
opened it, you wrap it up.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks all for tuning in. was a pleasure. Hopefully this was interesting. Hopefully we could add a bit more detail, more background to some of the things in the newsletter. And another one will come out in 3 weeks, and we'll do another community call then. And otherwise, we'll see you in the Slack. Feel free to join there at bitcoin.design. So thank you all. And I do think you'll have to wrap up and end the call here. So.
Yep. Thanks everyone for joining. If you've been here, I see Andrew, you requested to speak. Let me just let you jump on very quickly. Because
there's also another speaker request. Sorry, I did not even see that.
Sorry, yeah. Let me just invite you to speak very quickly. Did you get that, Andrew?
Who, me? I don't think I requested, but it's great to listen to you all. So great to hear what's going on and bullish on everything. So yeah, no, I'll let you guys wrap up as planned and talk to you later.
Thanks, guys. Sorry, I see there's another 2 more requests to speak here. What should we do with that, Christoph? Should we wrap it up?
Let's do it. Let's do it. We made them wait. They're still requesting, so let's hear it. But it'll have to be. Let's keep it quick, to the point. And thank you for your interest.
Cool, guys. I've invited you to speak. Hi, Bitcoin Tanzania. Feel free to speak.
Yeah, I was asking to Christopher, what are the main and very secured crypto wallet to have? What are the best one, the crypto wallet, which are very secured?
Oh, which are very secure. So, oh God, that's a difficult question. If you go by, so Wallet Scrutiny itself basically does that research. You go to walletscrutiny.com and you scroll down a little bit, and then you will see the best wallets there that they consider. And the biggest thing that they look for is reproducible. It means that the source code that's actually open source provided on GitHub is the same code that runs on your device. Now, it's not as simple, right? Because Wallet Scrutiny by default looks only at Play Store. So on App Store wallets, they cannot be reproducible because there's some stuff going on behind the scenes that cannot be inspected. So it's a little bit more difficult. So you have to look at what operating system you're looking at. So I don't have the best answer off the top of my head. Definitely look at a wallet that is inspect that it's open source, make sure it's custodial, that you hold all the keys, that the company, the people behind it, they can go away and it will not affect that your wallet runs and functions as before. So I think personally, I'm a big fan of Moon Wallet. Zeus is a great one if you run your own node. Moon has on-chain and Lightning, which is great. I think you also can't really go wrong with Green. Phoenix is a good one. What are some other good ones? What operating system do you have? Are you on Android, iOS, desktop?
Actually, some of the crypto wallet which I have currently in Tanzania, which I'm trying to explain to some of my fellow university students, is Bitcoin Beach, Moon, there's Blue Wallet, Bitcoin Django, and Wallet of Satoshi.
I think they're all good choices here. Andrew can probably speak to Bitcoin Beach here, since that's something he works on. I think they're all pretty good ones. I think with Wallet of Satoshi is custodial. That is a downside there, but I think overall it's all pretty good. Andrew, do you have any thoughts on this question?
I feel like it really depends on where you are in your Bitcoin journey, and what you're looking to use the wallet for. I think the custodial wallet, a la Bitcoin Beach Wallet, Wallet of Satoshi, can be good for early onboarding. It doesn't replace the need to learn self-custody and to self-custody your Bitcoin, but I know that in many communities around the world, Bitcoin Beach was one of them. The initial use case is the payment network not necessarily hodling, stacks of Bitcoin. So in maybe typical US fashion, if it's like an investment, you wouldn't want to recommend a custodial wallet for somebody who's going to, invest savings in sats, right? That needs to be cold stored. But Bitcoin Beach, we're trying to design the wallet that, you can recommend to somebody and know that you're putting them in good hands on a journey, right? Because there's sort of education modules built in, which also includes self-custody education, right? And so it's really a great onboard. And one of the other things, I tend to think about is if you're trying to build a circular economy, so you're trying to onboard merchants, something like a Bitcoin Beach wallet that has, kind of built in, Lightning address, LN URL, cash register, can lower the hurdles for getting into Bitcoin. And what we saw in Bitcoin Beach and other communities is once you get into Bitcoin, you have a desire to learn about it. And once you learn about it, you seek out more self-custodial, more private solutions. And so again, Bitcoin is a journey. And so, I think as somebody like yourself, Bitcoin Tanzania, who is educating people, it's important to learn about the various trade-offs and make sure that you're recommending kind of the right wallet for the right reason. Last thing I'll say is, speaking of Nostr, one of the things that I think we're seeing interesting right now is the use of a custodial wallet, even among self-custody maxi, for the purpose of having $1 worth of satoshis for zapping people, right? And so this kind of value for value economy where you're streaming some sats, like a custodial wallet still can have a role there. But again, last thing I'll finish by maybe repeating, it doesn't take the place of having of learning self-custody and practicing it as well.
Yeah, well put. I think that's a good way to think about it. If you want to, let's say, get someone and it's just about one, let's say, euro or dollar or whatever your local currency, it's like a really small amount just to get someone started. Something like Wallet of Satoshi, Moon. Those are all great options. Everything you listed. But then if this person then gets more into it and the amount of that they store becomes more meaningful, then they have to go a little bit further. And at some point also a hardware wallet comes into play, but a hardware wallet doesn't even make sense if you just have a small amount, because it's much more expensive than the amount that you might store. So I think the options that you listed were really good starters. But for investing, it's a little bit different, of course.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Cool. I think now
you're
we
welcome.
can wrap it up.
Yeah, and feel free to join in Slack and we can continue that conversation. Or reach out in the DMs. Everything's fine. Yeah.
Okay. No problem, Brother Christopher.
Thanks for your question. And thanks thank you everyone for joining. It's been a cozy conversation today. We covered quite a lot of topics. We're just 10 minutes over. So do you want to add anything, Christoph?
Nope. Just want to say thank you so much for hanging out.
Thanks everyone for joining. That's it from us, from the Bitcoin design community, and see you in 3 weeks for the next one. Bye everyone.
Thanks all.